Welcome back. All right, so news of the day for all you fine people on the internet for your Friday, July the 12th. And we'll start off looking at the BCHL and a showcase for the BCHL that will be in Abbotsford and Chilliwack. So that's going to be taking place from October 13th to 17th, like 3 games a day in Abbotsford and 3 games a day in Chilliwack. It'll be played at the Abbotsford Centre, which is the same building the Abbotsford Canucks play in. So the Vancouver Canucks are playing host to this, basically, helping out with it. The Chilliwack Coliseum will be the location for the other games. It should be fun. Whereas the Canucks have announced their training camp, that'll be in Penticton from September 19th to 22nd. They have been in Penticton before. I think it's great how the Canucks go around the province. They really are BC's team. I guess they could have been the BC Canucks, if you think about it, but yeah, Vancouver Canucks. So if you want to watch some good hockey, BCHL hockey's pretty darn good. All right, so the Bridgeport Islanders, the New York Islanders AHL affiliate, have made the decision that I think is the right one. Their logo, I didn't really like their logo that they had, just the B with the hockey stick. So this is now going to be their logo. The Fisherman. The Fisherman is now a part of the Islanders organization. Now, what's interesting is there are Islander fans who still do not like the Fisherman and would rather that part of their history was forgotten. But people will buy items with the Fisherman on it. For instance, this is a Bridgeport jersey. I got this, I think it was a little over a year ago, and it's got the other Bridgeport logo in the sleeve here. But yeah, they've gone over to that full time. I will get the blue version of this as well. I think it's sharp. I've always liked the Fisherman. It's different. Like it initially when it was first brought in the National Hockey League, there were a lot of people who felt like, is this a joke? Are they trolling us? But part of that too is that at the time the Islanders were really badly mismanaged. So there's a lot of reasons why this logo, for Islander fans old enough to remember it, it's not a favorite of theirs in many cases, and I get it, but I think Bridgeport made the right decision. I think it's fine. Again, going back to Abbotsford, they used the Johnny Canuck logo here in Abbotsford, and so it's still Canuck adjacent. This is Islander adjacent, but you'll tell the difference between the New York Islanders and the Bridgeport Islanders by that logo. So I think it's a smart decision. Some minor signings to talk about. First off, Regula signing a 1-year extension with the Boston Bruins, $775,000 at the NHL level, $215,000 at the AHL level. I don't know if he's going to get into the games for Boston this year, but he's still there at Providence, so that's good. Sammy Walker yesterday signed an extension with the Minnesota Wild. $775,000 at the NHL level, only $125,000 at the AHL level. So that's the difference there, is that the upside, $775,000 in the NHL. On the downside, there can be a huge difference. Some of the contracts we've talked about this offseason, a guy can get almost $500,000 playing in the AHL. In Sammy Walker's case, it's $125,000. I think it's greater motivation for them in training camp, so we'll see how things go for Walker. He only got into 4 games for Minnesota this past season. Chad Ruhwedel has signed a 1-year extension with the New York Rangers. They view him as a 7 or 8 in their organization, according to Molly Walker. $775,000 at the NHL level, and here's where we talk about the downside: $400,000 in the AHL, or a guaranteed $450,000. So if they send Ruhwedel down for the full season, he gets a bump up to $450,000. That's not a bad payday. Really not a bad payday. Ruhwedel, depth defenseman, veteran, and so you need that in your lineup. And I was looking for anything Trouba related, something that we could sink our teeth into and discuss with Jacob Trouba, but there isn't really anything out there in terms of an update that I feel like belongs in a news video. Just that I think they're still trying to trade him. There's teams still trying to acquire him, and that's where we're at. So Matt Rempe. Footage of Matt Rempe is out there, and the discussion is back regarding fighting in the National Hockey League. It has me thinking maybe I should do a video on that as well. So Matt Rempe's taking fight training from George Laraque. Good. One thing I mentioned last season with Rempe when he got called up and he was fighting all these, the toughest players in the NHL, I really felt like he was on the verge of, ending up concussed, ending up injured on the sidelines. And I don't think so. The divide seems to be whether or not Rempe is NHL caliber. And I think he can be. I absolutely think that Rempe has enough tools there that he can be a useful fourth-line player, but he can't just be there for the fighting and for those huge hits. There's got to be more to it if he's going to get more ice time. So I'm not like a huge booster of Rempe. I'm not a hater of Rempe either. I'm curious to see how he does this upcoming season, how many games he gets into, what his ice time looks like. But learning how to fight from Georges Laraque is good. And I hope Laraque's also telling him, here, you got to pick your spots, right? That is one thing too. You've got to know when the right time is to drop the gloves and when the right time is to turn around and skate the other way. And it does take time, right? So I think this is a good sign that, Rempe's trying to improve his game at least a little bit. And I mean, anybody can drop the gloves, but you also have to know how to protect yourself, how to throw those punches. Like, as fans, it's easy to look and go, fighting's not really a skill. They just drop the gloves and start punching. But there's definitely a skill to it, because if you're not good at fighting, you will end up concussed. You could end up badly injured. And so, I think this is good that Rempe is taking that training. Brandzeg Nygaard has signed an entry-level contract with the Detroit Red Wings. This draft class has signed their entry-level contracts quickly. We're only in the second week of July, and about half of the first-rounders from this year have signed entry-level contracts. So we'll see how many of them are in training camp trying to push for jobs. But that to me is a sign that it's a pretty strong draft class. Maybe not as star-studded as some others, but teams getting these guys signed. We'll see how many of them end up on the rosters this fall. There's going to be at least a couple, I would think, that end up breaking camp with the team, and then it's a question of whether or not they play the full season with that team or not. Wade Allison, a player that I was a fan of when he played in Philadelphia, but injuries have taken their toll, and then he's ended up further down on the list in terms of depth chart. He was in Nashville's organization this past season. They did not tender him a qualifying offer. He has signed a deal in the KHL. So for Wade Allison, it gives him a chance to reset a little bit. We'll see whether or not he comes back to play in the National Hockey League. But for now, Wade Allison's going over to the KHL, and it feels like he's just trying to find his game there. So there you go. A minor update, and don't be too surprised if, I would say in about a week's time, the News of the Day videos might drop off a bit. This is where sometimes I'll have a board where there's like 2 or 3 things. And I'm like, it's not enough for today. And I might save that News of the Day video for the following day. So that does happen. And of course, when we go on vacation in August, the News of the Day videos are done a little bit different because I don't take my computer and microphone with me. So it's just done with my phone. But again, once we get into that second week of August, there's not really a lot of news to report usually. But if there's a trade, of course, I'm ready to report on it and whatever else happens there. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I also want to give like a minor update. We are still having a meetup tomorrow. I have moved the start time from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That's in Coquitlam at Hickey Park, where we usually have these. So I've moved the start time back because there'll be more shade on the court. It'll be a little bit cooler than it will at 4 o'clock as a result. We're going to be bringing water, but make sure that you're bringing water and that you stay hydrated, because it's still going to be probably pretty warm when we play. So I'm going to try to keep my shifts short, and I would recommend other guys try to keep their shifts short. And it may end up not being that long of a game, but either way, should be a lot of fun. So if you're able to come out, by all means do. And so hopefully we get some more than 2 goalies this time too. That is one concern I have. Last time out, we just had the 2 goaltenders. I'm not going to want to see 2 goaltenders playing for as long as maybe 2.5 hours in the heat, because at some point we'd have to kind of just tie them to the net and just feed them water and be like, we got to do this because we don't have another guy. So hopefully we get a little, more than just the 2 tomorrow. But hey, thank you guys so much for all your support as always. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, I feel like we haven't done a channel-wide live stream in a bit, so maybe we'll get one of those rolling soon, so stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.